Last episode, we had Olivia living a double life, sneaking out at night to see her secret boyfriend, while being forced to play the role of perfect future wife during the day. We had Lionel falling in love with someone he's not allowed to be with, while being pushed into a future he didn't choose, and somehow the only stable relationship in the entire world was a mermaid bakery romance. I hope y'all are prepared for the emotional train wreck that is about to happen, because this week, a child gets taken from her home, a ghost finally tells the truth, a father is forced to face a betrayal he's been denying, and a werewolf attack turns tension into full-blown rivalry. Welcome back to my forever world, where every household is connected, every decision spirals into consequences, and secrets never stay buried for long. Last episode was about control, parents deciding their children's futures. This episode is about what happens when the truth starts slipping out. So this week, I introduced a brand new sim. I think this is going to be a thing I do, introducing a new household at the end of the rotation. It gives me more Sims to play with and helps to fill out my world. Mason is a werewolf and has the disruptive, outgoing, hot-headed, and lunar confident traits, and the werewolf initiate aspiration. And from the second I started playing him, his story felt different. Mason didn't grow up with a family. He didn't grow up in a house. He grew up in the woods of Granite Falls, completely on his own. So when he moves into Willow Creek, into this tiny converted shipping container, it's the first time he's ever had something stable. And immediately, I could feel the contrast because his neighbors have big houses, perfect lawns, and seemingly put together lives. And then there's Mason, rough around the edges, quick to anger, but also trying. Because underneath of all that, he wants connection. He just doesn't know how to get it. But more than that, he wants answers about his origins as a werewolf. So his first instinct, go to Moonwood Mill. If there are answers, that's where they'll be. And the whole vibe there is just different. It's tense. It's quiet. Like everyone knows something and nobody's saying it out loud. So Mason starts digging. He spends days in the Moonwood Mill library. And at first, it's honestly kind of ridiculous. Every book he picks up is just this overly dramatic romance novel, like werewolves falling in love under the moonlight. But scribbled all over the margins are these strange symbols. And at first, it just feels like nonsense, like someone vandalized every book in the building. But Mason doesn't give up. He keeps reading, keeps comparing, and keeps noticing patterns until finally something clicks. Those scribbles, they repeat, they follow rules, they mean something. And as he starts piecing it together, he realizes this isn't random. It's a hidden language. And it's talking about something called Operation Hyphae, a vampire-led effort to rewrite history, to make werewolves look unstable, dangerous, to erase who they really are. And that moment changes everything for him because now it's not just curiosity, it's identity. But then Love Day happens. And I think, let's give him a break. Let's try something normal. So Mason goes on a date with Michelle, and it's fine. She's kind, they talk, nothing goes wrong, but nothing really connects. It feels like two people trying to follow a script neither of them actually believes in. So he tries again. And this one is painful. Not just because she's distant, barely responds, and every interaction feels forced, but it's because I have to force her to be around him. I couldn't even get a actual screenshot of her on the date with him because she kept walking away and I was getting frustrated. I could literally feel Mason getting frustrated. Like he's trying, but nothing is landing. Eventually he just ends the date because there's no saving it. Then he gets this bucket list goal to get married. And I just sat there like, we are skipping several steps. So I take him to the romance festival, thinking this is it. This is where he finds someone. And instead, he just exists there, surrounded by couples, watching people flirt, laugh, connect. And every time he tries to join in, it goes nowhere. People walk away, conversations die instantly. And for the first time, I really see it hit him that maybe he doesn't belong in that world either. So I let autonomy take the wheel to see what Mason would do, and he leaves. He ends up at the karaoke bar right next to the romance festival, sits down, and gets a drink. And, like, I feel that, dude. No expectations, no pressure, just having a drink after a really rough time trying to find romance. And then a woman comes into the bar. Like Mason, she also gave up on the festival. She sits next to him, and it's subtle at first, just autonomous small talk, but it's easy. No awkward pauses, no forcing conversation. And I felt the shift immediately. Like, for the first time all week, he's not trying to be someone else. And I got the feeling that she was just being her authentic self. And I just sat there like, okay, this might actually go somewhere. And that's where we end Mason's week. I'm curious to find out more about this mysterious woman the next time we play in Mason's household. It just felt like destiny for them to meet the way they did, especially after it seemed like both of them had given up on the romance festival. So then we go to the Capulets. And the second I load in, Lyle Montague is at the door. And it's already tense because this is his enemy's house. But he doesn't look angry. He looks desperate, tired, disheveled, like he hasn't slept in days, which honestly he probably hasn't because of the haunting. And when Lionel confronts him, Lyle says something that just cuts through everything. He says he's here for his daughter, and Lionel's reaction is immediate confusion, then anger, because that makes no sense. It can't make sense. So, the easiest explanation? Lyle has lost his mind. Pierre comes out, shuts it down, forces Lyle off the property, and everyone moves on, except Lionel. Because once that idea is planted, you can't unsee things. Miranda doesn't look like them. Not really. Then Lyle comes back again. And this time, he doesn't argue. He just hugs Miranda. It's kind of emotional, but Pierre sees him and loses control and forces Lyle out again. But the damage is already done because Lyle says Miranda isn't Pierre's daughter before he leaves. Now Pierre is starting to notice the differences between Miranda and his other children, so they try to move on. And the Capulets throw a birthday party. Evelyn and Miranda age up into children. There's cake, decorations. For a moment, it feels like a semi-happy end to their week. And then Antony shows up in full werewolf form, and everything just explodes. Antony destroys furniture, breaks appliances, and devours the cake. I was not expecting this. I didn't let him into the house. So I don't know if this werewolf attack is from a mod or if it's part of the game, but I'm loving how much more drama this adds. Guests are panicking, and Lionel tries to step in to protect his family. And I get it, but he is completely outmatched. So of course, he loses. And just like that, whatever tension was there before is now personal. What a cliffhanger to leave the Capulets week on. But not to worry, because we switch to the Montagues. I must confess, I did something behind the scenes to try and drive the story forward, because it made sense for it to happen as part of the story. At least it makes sense to me, okay? With Lyle losing his mind due to the haunting, I moved Miranda into the Montague household. And this is where things get dark because Miranda is there now, and from her perspective, this is terrifying. She wakes up in a house she doesn't recognize. There's a ghost that looks like her mother, people she barely knows, and nothing makes sense. Lyle tries to explain. He has taken her from the Capulet house to try and appease the ghost. It clearly didn't work. The ghost seems angrier, and Miranda can't help but wonder why the ghost of her mother would be haunting the Montagues. She knows about the feud between the two families and thinks the haunting is because of that. And Lyle isn't exactly stable right now, so instead of comforting her, he just makes everything worse. And to top it off, Miranda sees Anthony in his werewolf form and is freaked out by that too. And then Evelyn shows up at her window. And I love this parallel so much because now it's not just romance, it's family. And Miranda finally gets to talk to someone she trusts. She tells her everything: the ghost, the fear, Anthony being a werewolf, and Evelyn, she steps up. She tells Miranda to stay strong, that she'll fix it, even though realistically, she has no idea how. Later, Gabrielle shows up to the Montague house. I took that to mean Evelyn had gone back home to tell her family that she found Miranda trapped inside the Montague house. Then Zoe's ghost appears to Gabrielle. And finally, the truth comes out. The affair, Miranda's real parentage, everything. And this should change everything. But Gabrielle can't accept it because she tries to go to Miranda's window anyway. And then she gets caught by Lyle, who chases her off the property. Then Pierre shows up during the day. And I'm like, Gabrielle must have gone home and told Pierre where Miranda was. And Pierre is there to rescue Miranda. But Lyle answers the door and they immediately start fighting. While they were fighting, Zoe's ghost appeared and she confessed to Pierre about the affair and told Pierre that Miranda was Lyle's daughter. And this time he believes it. And instead of reacting with sadness, he reacts with anger and just leaves Miranda behind. None of the Capulets come back over to the Montague house for the rest of the week. And that decision, to me, says everything. But then we get something unexpectedly gentle. Anthony spends time with Miranda. He takes her to the horse track and lets her watch him ride in the competitions. They play hide and seek. They play video games. And then he gives her his old bicycle and teaches her to ride it. And slowly she stops being afraid of him and trusting him. And I had so many feelings about it. Anthony is such a sweetheart. Like, he knows Miranda is going through a lot, and he's trying his best to make it better. I just love that so much. So now we have a child left behind by her family, a secret that finally came out, a rivalry that just turned violent, and a werewolf becoming someone's only sense of stability. Let me know what you think happens next, or just tell me how you feel about The Sims and their stories. Next week, we'll be looking at the Lewis, Goth, and Chi-Chi households. And if you like stories like this, subscribe, because this story is only going to get more complicated.